Welcome to The Read Along,
a mini book club for your ears.
I'm your host, Scott.
I'm your other host, Anita.
And join us on a journey through a good book,
one chapter at a time.
Do you like talking about movies? Do you like talking about mediocre movies? Do you like talking about how you could have fixed mediocre movies? Well, I certainly do, and you can listen to me, Scott C. Bourgeois, along with my co-hosts Greg Beaver and Liam Creswick, as we give our notes, and I have some notes. You can follow it now on your podcatcher of choice, or support it by visiting patreon.com/IHaveSomeNotes. So last week when we recorded, I'd just come back from camp with like 300 kids. So unsurprisingly, the very next day, I had a cold.
Of course.
Yeah.
Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm recovering from that. If I sound a little nasally or rough, that's the reason why. Because I was stewing in a Petri dish for a weekend and it caught up with me.
You are considerably better now than you were a few days ago. So.
Yeah. Late last week, I was a little rough. Like, not, like, bedridden rough, but, like, not feeling great.
You were kind of a hot mess.
But I bounced back over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling much better now, but still dealing with, like, the dregs of the cold. So.
That's the worst part.
And it's a summer cold, so the dregs here will last for, like, 2-3 weeks, guaranteed.
Of course they will.
Always happens. Summer colds are the worst for me. I get sick more often in the winter. I think that's true for most people. You're cooped up inside.
All that recycled air,
yeah.
Right, close quarters.
And so I feel like people generally get more sick over the winter. When I do get sick in the summer, though, it's always worse. I don't know why.
Because it needs to hit you harder to make you sick.
I guess. Or maybe it's the heat just making me feel worse.
Who knows?
Could be. Don't know. If you know, tell us, I guess. I don't know. We might have some doctors listening.
It's true, we might.
Yeah.
Doctors read.
They famously read quite a bit, actually.
See?
Yeah. At any rate, we'll get into our chapter for this week. Pretty fast-paced, but some interesting developments. We'll start with a brief recap of our previous chapter. That would have been chapter 20, in which Dani foils a robbery, which inadvertently scuttles her own attempted robbery. She ends up getting let go from the position that she needs in order to complete her heist, and the FBI give her essentially an hour's warning before they're going to show up with a warrant to search her house. And that is where we find her madly scrambling at the beginning of chapter 21 of The Frame Up by Gwenda Bond.
We learned some things in this chapter.
Yeah, first off,
it's great.
Dani and Elliot race back to Rabbit's place. Rabbit is like out the door instantly and is in full apology mode. Like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I hope nobody got hurt. I feel bad that this had to happen.
And Elliot is
furious.
Angry. Oh, he's mad.
He is furious. He's furious less because the plan got foiled, which Dani would have expected, but more because Dani got hurt.
Yeah, she got punched.
Yeah, and Rabbit is, like, put off by that as well, and immediately gets all concerned. Dani's a little off-put by that. Like, yeah, you weren't too concerned about pulling the trigger on doing another job on the side here, but does not have time to dwell on this, and is like, look, take the painting. I need to get back to the stone house and scrub it down, because the FBI are on their way.
Yeah.
So, passes off the painting of Archer. Mia does offer to come, but Dani's like, no. It's bad enough that I'm under the spotlight and they already know Elliot's face as Emmett.
Yeah, of course.
Let's try to like just have no one else around when the FBI shows up, because that's just going to throw more suspicion around.
Exactly. She needs to keep the rest of her team safe.
Yeah.
Even if things are screwed up right now, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's not make this worse.
So she hops back in the car, heads over to the stone house, and scrubs it down as best she can.
Well, to be fair, she doesn't have to do much.
No, but there's stuff that needs to be gotten rid of.
Yeah, she hides her studio, which isn't too difficult. Basically, she cleans it up and closes the door.
Yeah, Lord B's portrait is still there, but there's really no helping that. There's nothing she can really do with it at the moment. And she dumps all the paint.
And the last time I checked, it wasn't illegal for her to have that picture.
No.
So, fine.
Yeah.
Right?
She hides the diary in the hidey hole in the wall.
Yep.
And basically just double checks to make sure there's nothing else incriminating around,
and
except
really
for all of the work stuff that was given to her by the Hackworths.
Yeah, which is legit for her to have.
Yep.
Right? So...
And basically, that's that. Now, we did skip over one little bit. While she's in the car on the way back, she does get a call from Brad. And Brad's like, here's the deal. The FBI did get their warrant. You've got like 60 minutes.
Yeah.
But I've sent my lawyers. When they get there, let them help you. And she's like,
okay.
Very surprised, but thankful. And so when she's sitting on the porch an hour later with a beer, and the FBI rolls up, moments later, another SUV rolls up.
Beautiful timing.
Yeah, right? With the Hackworth team of lawyers. There's not even one lawyer.
No, it is a head lawyer and his team of lawyers. It's glorious, actually.
It's the kind of lawyers that rich people can get their hands on.
Yes.
So they are good lawyers.
So it's a beautiful moment of timing, right? Because Sharp shows up with the warrant, and Dani is allowed to read it, obviously.
And basically stalls for a minute by going through and reading it.
And she was going to do that anyway, because she's not given Sharp any inches.
No.
At all, right? So she's taking her time, reading through this warrant, making sure everything's fine. And as she's doing that, the lawyer pulls up, and I was like, oh, mwah, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And Sharp is familiar with this lawyer and is not super happy to see him. So this is Carlton Minton of Minton Reynolds and Associates, which means that his name's on the partner list there.
Yep.
This is one of the top guys.
Oh, yes.
And he pulls Dani aside for a moment and basically tells Sharp to hold off and give him and his client a moment alone.
At which Sharp kind of has to do, I think.
And they go inside, and Carlton basically lays it out for her, like very, very simply, like, I'm here to represent you. Is there anything in this house that is incriminating? Tell me now. And
I don't care whether or not you did it. Don't tell me. What are they going to find in this house?
Yeah, and Dani's immediately like, no, there's honestly nothing here, which is the truth.
It is.
There is heist stuff, but it's not there.
Yeah.
And Carlton's like, cool, I'll make sure that my people follow around his searchers and give them hassle, basically. We'll also make sure they don't disturb any of your stuff. And Dani feels a little pang there because it's like, oh, we don't really have much stuff.
I don't have very much
it's also a painful reminder that technically Brad owns the property as well. So it's not really hers. And that's one of the reasons the lawyers are there, is to, like, at least on the surface, to protect Brad's property, which she happens to be staying at.
Which I find to be an excellent excuse.
Yeah. But Carlton does seem to be helpful in this moment, and even goes so far as to kind of approve when Dani writes a...
like a screw you note to Sharp.
And leaves it on top of, like, her work.
Yeah, the stuff she knows they're going to confiscate.
Seize,
just leaves, like, just a nasty note for Sharp, and it tickled me because it was funny.
Yeah, she steps out of the house to allow the FBI to begin their search, and that's when Brad rolls up as well.
Yeah.
Also concerned, and is like, do you have a minute to talk? Because there's a few things that I think we should be square about. And Dani's like, okay. And so they go take a stroll through the grounds.
Take a stroll where no one can hear us.
Yeah. And Brad lays it out. So here's the deal. I know what's going on. I know what Archer is. I know what the collection was for. Like, I've been keeping that from you because I didn't know how much I could trust you. And Dani's like, why are you trusting me now? Because there was just an attempt. I was a lousy security person, and there was just an attempt on the fortress. And he's like, because I know it wasn't you, because you would have gotten away with it.
And she is both flattered and a little hurt at the same time.
Yeah. And Brad basically is like, number one, I'm part of the magical world. I have magic. So did my dad, which makes sense to me because his dad did win that painting from other magical people.
I want to say we questioned this early on about whether or not Hackworth had magic. Right?
And that's pretty much confirmed now. Hackworth was definitely in the magical world, and his son has magic. But Brad's not involved in the criminal aspect of it. He's involved in, at the very least, like the white-collar criminal aspect of it, because he's involved in business. And he makes it clear, I don't need the fortress to make my fortune. My magic involves numbers. I can make money out of money. And I've got a ton of money that I'm sitting on because of my dad.
Yep.
And I legitimately want to get rid of the collection, kind of because I hated my dad, kind of because I don't need it, and kind of because I know the deal with the Archer painting, and I don't want that anywhere near me or my daughter.
Right?
So I don't care what you were planning to do, and I don't care if you get away with it. I just need to know that whatever you're doing, none of it's going to fall on me and my family.
Yeah, he just doesn't. Mostly, he wants to protect his daughter. He just doesn't want his family to get hurt.
And he even says the scare with Beverly made him realize he did actually care about the ex-wives, too. They are kind of part of his family, and he doesn't want anything to happen to them either.
Like, and even if they are terrible people, they are still innocent in this, right? They don't deserve that, right? So, yeah. It was refreshing to see that Brad's moral compass is pointed in the right direction.
It might be self-interested for him and his family, but at least it's benignly self-interest.
Yeah, it's self-interest with reason.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's greed and selfishness, and then there's self-preservation of you and yours, you know?
Yeah. And he even clarifies with Dani, like, are you working for or against Archer? And Dani's answer is yes.
Yeah.
Because she is kind of stealing the painting for Archer, but also trying to figure out a way to undermine him. And yeah, Brad's super cool with this and is like, so here's the score. Obviously, you can't be there for the auction anymore because you got fired.
This whole thing has happened.
And as much as I have pull, as much as I have money, there are some things that are just beyond me.
Yep.
And at this point, the FBI is all over this. They're going to be managing the auction. There's nothing I can do about that. But I can invite you as a guest to the gala tomorrow night. He has no control over that guest list.
Yeah.
And Dani's like, seriously? And he's like, absolutely. And she is like, cool, I'll even go buy myself a nice dress for it.
Which, excellent.
So this is good because it gives her access to the fortress one more time.
Mm-hmm.
But the downside is...
she now has one less day to plan an entirely new heist.
Because the gala is the day before the auction.
Yes.
So
the switch has to happen the night before now.
On the flip side, though, Dani also thinks this might be a silver lining because it might almost be easier to switch it during the gala when there's like a mix of random people there.
Yep.
Over the tight security that would have been there at the auction itself.
True. Yes.
But it does leave her scrambling with 24 hours.
Yes.
To figure out how to do the switcheroo at the gala.
Yeah. I think it'll be fun. Things have taken a pleasant turn for me, heist-wise.
Yeah.
I love it.
Now, on the surface, it does certainly seem like this was Brenner jumping the gun still, because we had posited in our little addition to last week's episode that the evil twins might have been involved, and I was discussing this with Anita just before we started recording, because it certainly seems like Rabbit wouldn't be helping the evil twins, and Rabbit pretty much confirmed she was involved in what just happened.
Yeah, like she knew what was going on.
But Anita pointed out it's not impossible the evil twins tricked Rabbit. We don't still know if it was Brenner who pulled the trigger on that and if those were his guys.
Yeah.
And
we get zero conversation about it. We get no confirmation about much. We know that Rabbit was involved because she was apologetic about it. That's as far as we got. I don't think it's unreasonable to think that Rabbit was duped. It's very possible.
It is possible.
Right? Get a phone call from someone who sounds like Brenner.
Yeah. And the evil twins know Brenner.
Right.
So it would also be very funny if the evil twins did do that to get Dani's access cut off. She manages to weasel her way into access the day before, swaps the paintings, and then the evil twins steal the fake painting.
Still to steal the fake one?
That would be very amusing.
That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, it could be.
And I'm okay with it.
Actually, one other little tidbit. Brad almost walks up to suggesting that he would have just given Dani the Archer painting.
Except he can't.
But Dani's fairly confident in that, number one, Rose does want it as well.
Yeah.
And number two, she's fairly confident that the ironclad will indicates you can't just, that it really did have to be sold. You can't just give it all away.
Yeah.
So.
I know the rules around this, like the auction is the best they could do to fight this will. I don't think Brad can start just changing the rules.
Indeed.
Right? Without serious legal repercussions of some kind.
Yeah, another little interesting tidbit is that Carlton Minton had offered to defend Dani's mom.
Yeah.
And is very convinced that had he done so, she would not be in prison right now.
Okay. He's convinced of that. We don't know if that's all the way true.
We don't know, but he is certainly convinced of that. Though he does admit that he would have gone after Dani's credibility, which is why Maria might not have gone with him. And Dani's actually fairly sure that her mom went with the lawyer she did because
that lawyer
there was a favor involved.
There was a favor involved, and she knew that lawyer and could trust him, even if they lost the case.
Well, maybe she shouldn't have trusted him that well because they did lose the case.
I just want to take a second to talk about how much I love Carlton the lawyer in this context. If he were a real person, I would despise him with my whole very, very being. But being introduced as the foil to Sharp.
Kinda, yeah.
He's perfect. And I love it. He's exactly the kind of sleazy lawyer who could 100% take on a sleazy FBI agent.
That's a little unfair to Sharp, I would argue. We don't know that he's sleazy. We have entirely Dani's perception of him, but so far he seems very by the book.
Mm-hmm. I know that it's Dani's, but Dani's perception of him is that he is sleazy.
Yeah.
Right? So having an even sleazier lawyer come to your defense against this FBI agent that you loathe with your very being, it's just, there's something just so wonderful about it.
Yeah, so that's kind of a bunch of little revelations, some last-minute puzzle pieces kind of being put in place, and another opportunity to steal the painting.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to see what Dani makes of that with 1 day.
1 day left.
To enact the heist now.
Exciting.
And that's what we're left with as we move into chapter 22, which you'll want to read up on in time for next week. In the meantime, of course, as always, you can give us a little rating and review on your podcatcher of choice.
And as always, we appreciate them and love you very much.
Yeah, you can also reach out to us on social media.
Oh, yes, please. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Goodreads. We are at The Read Along on most of those.
Yes, you can also send us an email.
Oh, even better. You can reach us at thereadalong@gmail.com.
And with that said, as always, we love you very much, and we will see you next time.
There's going to be a fancy party.
Thank you for joining us on The Read Along with your hosts, Anita and Scott Bourgeois. All Read Along music is by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Cover art is by Aaron Beaver. Be sure to join us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The Read Along, and check out our group on Goodreads.com.